Okay, so today we're going to talk about foreclosure. We're going to go over the process of foreclosure from start to finish, and we're going to talk about some alternatives, especially three in particular, that you can use to avoid foreclosure. Now, this is a very simplified foreclosure timeline. At the left shows the point in which you have missed payments. It could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, etc. And the second phase is the default or intent to foreclose phase. That's when you've probably passed about 90 days. The bank has sent you notice that they intend on foreclosing on the property, and they are calling you with a little bit stronger language in their conversations, both on the phone and also in writing. Now, if the bank has not received a payment or worked out some sort of resolution as to how you plan on proceeding with making up payments, in other words, there's no agreement, they will file a pre-foreclosure notice. And that's when they hire a local attorney that usually handles starting the foreclosure process in court on behalf of the mortgage company. Once those documents are filed in court, every state has their specific timelines. Um, they will schedule an actual foreclosure date, and also start to schedule the specific requirements as per that state for timelines. They have to issue notice requirements, serve you with documents, produce certain documents in court, etc. Okay. Um, the actual service, that's when you get notice of the date. After the attorney, the local attorney does all they have, they complete all the tasks with the court that's required for them to actually get a date, and they satisfy those requirements, they'll serve you with an actual notice. And it's usually about 4 weeks before the sale date. And you'll receive a certified letter, or a process server will come to the house. They'll give you the actual date, and if you are not there physically to receive the notice, it's also permissible for them to post it on the door, or have a signature from a neighbor stating that you were properly served on the property. So avoiding actual service does not stop the actual, the sale from occurring. All right, and then on the actual date, that's usually the auction date or the sheriff's sale date. And what happens then is the the local attorney will be there. The judge or the sheriff, or sometimes it's a magistrate, will conduct the actual auction. They'll name the property. They'll have usually investors or developers there bidding on the property. And so usually the mortgage company tries to sell the property for at least what is owed on your mortgage. Now, sometimes if you are upside down in your mortgage, meaning you owe more on that mortgage than it's actually worth, they'll take less. Now, if on the date of the auction, if no one purchases the property, in other words, no one bids um, a high enough price to satisfy the payoff of the mortgage or meet the requirement for sale that is acceptable by the mortgage company, then the property goes back to the lender. In other words, the mortgage company now can take physical possession of the property, and they start that process. Okay. There's also post foreclosure filings that need to be occurred. And so the attorney will file those documents to actually change the deed, and get physical possession and title of the property. Now, since 2007, we've helped tons of homeowners that are in various phases of foreclosure. Most of our success with homeowners have come from catching them early in the process. So up until the time you receive notice, there's a chance to work things out with the bank, either via short sale, meaning if you again owe more on the property than the market will bear, and if you can't sell it for the actual payoff, we'll negotiate a short sale. And that's when we get the mortgage company or the lender to agree to accept less than what you owe on the mortgage to satisfy your debt. And so that's one option, and that's an option that in today's market, when most of the homeowners have purchased, uh, when the market was high, they actually owe more on their property. So it's not uncommon to use the short sale as a means to satisfy um, paying off that mortgage. We also do forbearances, meaning, we can work with the lender so that they tack on the past due mortgages. So if you've missed 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 payments, instead of trying to get caught up all at once, which sometimes is totally impossible, we'll work with the lender. They'll agree to temporarily either modify your payment schedule, or sometimes add on those missed payments to the end of your payment schedule, so you'll get caught up and make 4 or 5 extra additional payments um, at the end of the term of the mortgage. Sometimes we can also get the lender to modify your mortgage. So if you're in a mortgage with a very high interest rate, and if it fits certain criteria, we can get the lender to modify the mortgage by reducing the interest rate or changing you into a preferred product that allows you to make payments um, on a regular basis. So 9 times out of 10, if you're in a high interest loan, or an adjustable rate mortgage, that's usually when folks get into trouble, and we can work with your lender to get you into a fixed mortgage by producing certain documents, showing your income, and trying to get them to approve a modification of the loan. Right. So, those are the basic tools that are available to help you stop the foreclosure. And, there's a lot of time within this window. All right. So, you know, between the time you missed your mortgage and they have not started a formal intent to foreclose, or issued a pre-foreclosure notice, or even issued a sale date, that's your window of opportunity. If you wait until it's too late, and we've had clients contact us the day before the actual auction to assist them. And, there's certain things we can do at the 11th hour, but 9 times out of 10, the options are fairly fairly slim. And the only thing you can do at that point to stop the auction is to file a bankruptcy. And if you would have, if they would have caught and contacted us earlier within that window of opportunity, we wouldn't have to do that. So the best time to exercise your options is earlier. The earlier, the better. All right. The closer you are away from that actual auction date gives us more time to work with the lender. Now we understand that a lot of things happen, and with the types of mortgages that were issued between 2005 and 2007 and 8, it's not your fault. Most of the clients that we see that come into our office for services, it's not their fault. They have bad mortgages, meaning they're in a product that they should have never been in. The economy shifts, employment situations change, and bad things happen to very, very good people. So it's not a matter of fault or feeling shameful or embarrassed. Um, if you have a handful of people in the room, chances are a good portion of those folks have actually had to deal with a mortgage issue. Okay, so it's not uncommon, and it's something that uh, we just need to deal with, and we need to deal with it earlier rather than later. All right. So for a limited time, we're giving free consultation, and what this means is we've got a team of folks we've that is comprised of an attorney, a real estate agent, a mortgage loan officer, and an accountant. Okay, and what they'll do is based on your situation, you'll have an intake, and we'll either we could do it face to face in the office, or we can have a telephone consult where we go through and get information from you, find out what's going on, where you are in the foreclosure phase, and advise you legally from the attorney, um, and give you advice on what your rights are. From the real estate agent, they'll be able to do a market analysis on the property to find out if you are upside down in the property. So that will enable us to assess whether we need to do a short sale. If you're upside down, you need to find out how much your property is worth, and what your similar or like type properties are selling for in your area. The loan officer's role would be to come in and see if you're eligible for any mortgage products that may be able to help you through a modification or some sort of forbearance, or maybe even a refinance. And the accountant will advise you as to the tax ramifications based on the option that is exercised. Okay, so for a limited time, take advantage if you need these services, because you have absolutely nothing to lose, and there's absolutely no cost for the consultation. All right, so the biggest thing that we've seen is procrastination. When folks are in a situation where they're behind, we have good intentions to get caught up. And what happens is these 30-day periods every month, the mortgage keeps stacking up. We have people that come in and they haven't paid their mortgage in a year or so, and you don't want to wait until it's too late. You don't want to procrastinate. So again, the earlier the better. The earlier you start the process, the more options you have to take advantage of that limited window of opportunity. And so the alternatives that we use for avoiding foreclosure, obviously the first one's going to be to catch up, right? And so you either have to catch up if you can have access to the cash to make your past due payments. If not, we'll have to modify the loan. And so we either have to do a forbearance or some sort of modification, a new loan product, so that you can get caught up in that payment cycle. If you're not eligible for a modification, or if you just don't want to stay in that property, or if staying in that property is not an option, then you have to sell the property. Okay, and so if selling is an option for you that you want to exercise, if you have equity in the property, you can sell it as a retail listing. And so that's where the real estate agent comes in. They will market the property and get a retail buyer for that property, so that at least you can sell it and take your equity out. So if you've got value in that property and you owe less than what you can get for that property, it makes sense, real good sense, to sell that property and walk away with cash because you have equity in the home. If you don't have equity in the home, that means you're upside down. And if you want to sell it, you have to exercise a short sale. So we have to work with the mortgage company, get your lender to agree to accept less than what the full payoff amount is, in exchange for releasing you from that mortgage. All right, because you've got to remember, the banks really don't want the physical property. Banks are in the business of making money and loaning money and getting paid back. They don't want the asset. Okay, so if the first two options cannot satisfy an alternative to foreclosure, then we obviously have to give it back. And so you just don't want to, and giving it back doesn't mean just having it go to auction. All right. Because what happens is if you just let it go to auction, if you owe more on that property, you will be liable for the deficiency, meaning if they sell the property at auction and they don't get enough to pay off the mortgage, you'll still be pursued for whatever's left over on the mortgage. That's why if you plan on giving the property back, it's very important to contact us so we can help you create and negotiate a process whereby, in exchange for the title, in exchange for the deed, right? They agree to accept the deed and title and release you from any deficiencies. So it's very important to get that in writing, right? So you just don't want to let the property go to auction without entering into some kind of negotiation with the bank. All right. So when we get caught up, like we said, um, we can dip into our savings, our retirement, we can borrow the funds, we can request a temporary forbearance, we can add the past payments to the end of the mortgage payment cycle, or we can apply for a new or modified loan. When we sell the property, we can do a retail sale if you've got equity. We can negotiate a short sale. All right. And so the thing about a short sale that is pretty unique is that, if you're upside down, it gives you an opportunity to satisfy the debt, even though you're not going to be able to get full payoff amount for your mortgage, you can still satisfy the debt. Kind of saves your credit. It's better than having a foreclosure on your credit report. It's also better than having a bankruptcy because the debt shows up as being satisfied. Okay. Now, up until uh, the end of this year, by federal law, your mortgage company is going to issue a 1099, but you don't have to report it as income. So typically, what happens is the deficiency or the amount of the short. And so, for an example, if you owe $100,000 on a house and you sell it via short sale for $80,000, the bank is probably at some point going to issue you a 1099 for $20,000 roughly. And that is basically income. It's treated as income because it's a debt that you did not have to pay. Now, the federal law at this point states that when you file your taxes, you don't have to claim that $20,000 as income. Very important. We don't know if that statute's going to be renewed. It may be renewed, it may not. And that's why it's important for the accountant to advise you on how to best proceed in that situation. And so, um, although the debt is forgiven, there's potential there for that debt amount, the $20,000 in that example, to be taxable income. Okay. And so you definitely want to have an attorney and an accountant look at how you want to treat that, treat the 1099 if the statute exemption has expired and has not been removed. You get a chance to start over fresh when you sell the property, or you get out of the property by selling it via either means, because now you can get another property, you can rent for a while, get something that is more suitable on a monthly payment basis. And we've had a lot of clients that we've represented, and they've done a short sale, and 3 years later, and that's typically 3 years is the magic number for mortgage companies typically to consider giving you another mortgage when you've done a short sale. And we recently just had one of our clients purchase another property, and it's been roughly around 3 years since we did the short sale for them. So just because you sell the property, you do a short sale, doesn't preclude you from being a property owner again in the future. Right. And so when you give it back, like we talked about before, remember you want to make sure you negotiate a release. All right. So you want to know how the bank is going to treat any deficiency. That's the most important thing before you sign that deed over to the bank. All right. And it's very important too that when the bank gets the due deed signed over to them, they get title and actual possession, that they actually file the deed so that your water bill, your taxes, your homeowners, all the other fees and costs that are associated with legal ownership of that property is attributable to the bank and not to you. Because if that deed is not filed, then your name will still be in the court records and in the land records, and you'll still receive those bills. All right. And so we only use this as a last option before the foreclosure auction. So if we can't sell it, we can't get a loan modification or forbearance, we can't do anything to work with the bank to get you out of foreclosure, then we'll consider a deed in lieu as a last option. Okay, so what you want to do right now is request your free consultation. You do want to um, contact us, and so that we can schedule a consultation for you. There's no obligation. At least at a minimum, you'll know what options are available to you, and you'll have the advice of the team that we put together to help you um, out of this situation. Again, since 2007, when there was a massive influx of short sales and foreclosures filed, we've helped many homeowners in the past. And when you sign up for your consultation, make sure to ask for our client list. We'd be more than happy to send you a client list so that you can contact our past clients and find out what their experiences were. Okay, so what we do for you at our consultation is, again, the attorney will advise you of what rights you have for the process, for the foreclosure process, based on where you are and based on the stage that we went over earlier. The realtor is going to do a market analysis on the property. They're going to basically advise you as to how much equity, if any, and let you know how much they can sell that property for and what you can expect to get as a sales price. Loan officer is going to advise you on any modification or refinance or forbearance that you're eligible for, and the accountant is going to advise you on treatment for that 1099 if you're going to exercise the short sale as an option to avoid the foreclosure. Okay, so we solve the problem or it's free. Okay, if your house does not sell, if you do a short sale, if we don't get the short sale approved, if you don't get a modification approved, there's never a fee. Okay, very important. We don't charge you if we don't solve your problem. So make sure you sign up for your consultation because the time is going to be limited. There's only a certain amount of people that we take as a team because not everyone has committed to participate for the long run, and so you want to make sure that you take advantage of the opportunity. We only have the capacity to help a limited amount of people, all right, based on the client load of the attorneys, the accountants, the realtors that are involved. They've only committed for a limited amount of time. All right, so you don't want to wait until it's too late. When that window of opportunity is closed and the auction date is, occurred or going to occur, it's quite often to be too late to for us to help you. And so the earlier you take action, the better it's going to be for you to exercise those options that are available to you. All right. So sign up for your consultation while spots are still available. And again, we're here to help. And you can either fill out the form with the information, contact your contact information, and we'll contact you, or you can call us at the office to schedule either a free phone consult, or you can schedule a time to come into the office so that we can do the consult face to face.